Okay, and so the last little thing we're going to do today is going to be a segment that I will start off by reading off a sentence I never ever thought I would ever say in front of a camera, but here we go. Now we're going to take a look at what's going on in NASCAR. Listen, it's 2020. We are so far off the edge of the map. Me doing a story about NASCAR doesn't seem weird in the slightest. So, in the aftermath of the George Floyd killing, a lot of organizations, cities, groups are tearing down monuments to old entrenched racism, and apparently one of those favorite ones is the Confederate Flag, or as we like to call it, the Participation Award for people who weren't so good at fighting. But hey, we know how some people feel about the Participation Awards. Well, apparently NASCAR decided to make their opinion felt, and boy, when I tell you this one came out of left field, not joking. Here we go. The presence of the Confederate flag at NASCAR events runs contrary to our commitment to providing a welcome and inclusive environment for all our fans, our competitors, and our industry. Bringing people together around a love for racing and the community that it creates is what makes our fans and sport special. The display of the Confederate flag will be prohibited from all NASCAR events and properties. Yeah, I'm gonna bet you didn't see that one coming, because I know I didn't. NASCAR. In the age of wokeness. NASCAR. Yeah, this happened. So, for those who aren't aware, this turned into a much larger story. There is actually currently a black driver on the NASCAR circuit. And so, of course, anytime over the last few years, anything, that has to do with racial violence comes up, everybody sticks microphones in front of his face. He is the token star black athlete in the NASCAR sport. His name is Bubba Wallace, and he's actually pretty badass. If you haven't met Bubba Wallace, you're going to get to now. This is Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace drives for Petty Motorsports, which was started by Richard Petty, who's one of the greats of NASCAR. Richard Petty is probably somebody who, on a good day, most of America, when he was known and he was racing, would have referred to perhaps as a good old boy. And Richard Petty Racing, Petty Motorsports, are the ones who employ Bubba Wallace over here. Bubba has been known to rock an "I Can't Breathe" t-shirt on and off during races over the last few years. But he is, by and large, a fan favorite, even in the South. Where a lot of the NASCAR tracks are, where you get a huge following. I myself have been to the Daytona 500 and have been on the infield of Daytona. And if you haven't, let me tell you, it's a whole thing. It's a spectacle. It's a universe all its own. And it draws hundreds of thousands of people to live events. It's massive. So Bubba Wallace over here, not only has he been rocking the "I Can't Breathe" t-shirt as the lone black star of NASCAR, but himself, with Richard Petty Motorsports, decided to repaint their car for the relaunch and the rest of the NASCAR season. Bubba Wallace, Richard Petty Motorsports, revealed a BlackLivesMatter paint scheme for the number 43 Chevrolet on Tuesday. Wallace, who's been outspoken about the civil unrest centered around racial inequality and NASCAR's place in the National Convention, will run the paint scheme for the NASCAR Cup Series at Martinsville Speedway. Wallace had significant input on the paint scheme that was revealed on Richard Petty Motorsports' social media channels. "I'm excited for this opportunity to run Black Lives Matter on the car for Martinsville," Wallace said in a video posted on Richard Petty Motorsports' Twitter handle. "This statement that we have right here, running this car, being on live television, I think it's going to speak volumes for what I stand for, but also what the initiative that NASCAR and the whole sport is trying to push." There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is a car prominently displaying the Black Lives Matter hashtag and font with a peace symbol, and the entire hood is painted with a black and a white fist embracing and the words underneath it, compassion, love, understanding. In NASCAR, I think the two fists, the black fist and the white fist going hand in hand, speaks volumes. It says a lot, has a lot of power behind it, Wallace said. The Virginia track, affectionately known as the Paperclip, where Wallace, who came up through NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program, won his first national race series in 2013. Martinsville is also a significantly historical site in that it is near the home of Danville, Virginia. Native Wendell Scott, the only African-American driver to win a NASCAR Cup Series race, and a member of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That's his hometown. Wallace has been a leader in the discussions among NASCAR drivers about social justice. Wallace and Ty Dillon held such a talk last week on Instagram. Dillon later said he would not be afraid on his platforms to stand up for his belief. So this happened, all in the course of a week in NASCAR. NASCAR is a very historical, sort of a conglomeration of, motorsports. They have been, predominantly based in the South. That's been predominantly their culture for ages. So in the age of wokeness, for NASCAR to turn around and say they're going to ban, all Confederate flags from all of their races and all of their properties. And then a day later, the only black driver on the leaderboard in NASCAR comes out and says that they're going to paint the Black Lives Matter mobile, which again, this has to be cleared by NASCAR and obviously by Richard Petty Motorsports, who own the racing team. This is kind of a big deal. I wonder how that went over. Let's find out. NASCAR drivers mostly support ban on Confederate flag. Bubba Wallace, NASCAR's only black driver, began a push earlier in the week to ban the Confederate flag from all events, telling CNN to get them out of here in the wake of George Floyd's murder. On Wednesday, NASCAR responded by officially barring the flag from all future events. The display of the Confederate flag will be prohibited from all NASCAR events and properties. The announcement was made hours before Cup drivers hit the track at Martinsville, but they were quick to react once the dust settled. Joey Logano, who finished fourth, called it a monumental moment. Obviously, there's so much going on right now in our world when you think of the Black Lives Matter movement that's going on, coronavirus, and it's forcing all of us to look internal, look at ourselves first, he said. It was really cool to see what Bubba was able to do. He should be proud of the movement he's made for the African American community in our sport. That's not bad. Kudos to NASCAR, kudos to Bubba for bringing it up and using his platform for something good. However, not everybody was happy about the announcement. Ray Ciccarelli, a part-time racer in NASCAR's Truck Series, took to social media to voice his displeasure with the decision, saying that he planned to quit after the season. Look, it's been a fun ride and a dream come true, but if this is the direction NASCAR is headed, we will not participate after 2020 season is over. I'm mad. I don't believe in kneeling during the anthem, nor taking people right to fly whatever flag they love. I could care less about the Confederate flag, but there are people that do, and it doesn't make them a racist. All you're doing is fucking one group to cater another. Well, okay there, Ray Ciccarelli. I'm just kind of curious. Let's see what everybody else's reaction to this was before we drill down on yours. Oh, wow, look. LeBron James is out retweeting NASCAR now. LeBron James. I actually looked around. There were a whole bunch of NFL football players who came into tweets and started talking about, well, I guess I'm going to have to start watching NASCAR now. I saw they had Alvin Kamara from the Saints. They had Benjamin Watson, the tight end. All these players are on Twitter now going, well, I've never watched NASCAR before, but I'm fucking tuning in now. So respect for the other white drivers in the NASCAR series who said, no, it doesn't bother me, and this is something that should happen. Props to all the other athletes in the other sports who are coming out and saying, hey, NASCAR, maybe it took you a long fucking time to come around, but we're glad to see you finally came around. FYI, people, that's what we call solidarity. It's a verb. So let's check in on Ray Ciccarelli, okay? Since it's obvious that Bubba's down, and it's obvious that the majority of NASCAR drivers are down, and it's definitely obvious that LeBron James and NBA and NFL players are down. Let's see how regular folk reacted to Ray Ciccarelli. That's right. If you've never heard of Ray Ciccarelli, you're not alone. Ciccarelli, a Truck Series driver, made a name for himself for all the wrong reasons when he announced he's quitting NASCAR because of their decision to ban the Confederate flag from its events. This was a move spurred on by NASCAR's only black driver, Bubba Wallace, who raced in a car with a Black Lives Matter paint job Wednesday evening. That was the breaking point for Ciccarelli, who posted his little rant and diatribe that we read a portion of before. I ain't spend the money we are to participate in any political BS, so everything is for sale. Ray Ciccarelli, just dropping that poetic knowledge there, right? In 18 races over 3 years, Ciccarelli has 0 wins, 1 top 10 finish, and his highest finish was 33rd last year. His lasting legacy will be quitting because of NASCAR banning the Confederate flag. An ESPN writer penned a column about the overdue decision to ban the Confederate flag and hate not heritage it represents. But that's been the best journalism written that I've seen on the topic. But Twitter came through with some fire to roast Ciccarelli to a crisp after his temper tantrum. NASCAR always loses. Ray Ciccarelli quits racing because he can't celebrate racism. NASCAR champ Dale Earnhardt Jr. disagreed in 2001. The flag represents closed-minded racist views that have no place in today's society, and it belongs in the history books, and that's about it. Now, the reason I wanted to point this tweet out is because this was a quote from Dale Earnhardt Jr. 19 years ago. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the most popular driver in the history of NASCAR, whose father, Dale Earnhardt, was formerly the most popular driver in the history of NASCAR. So even when powerful white people were outspoken against this in the NASCAR community, it still took 19 years to get here. So I know a lot of people on the left, or maybe you're not into NASCAR. This sounds like something you want to make fun of. I know there's some good jokes here, but in all seriousness, this is a sport that caters to a lot of people that might not be, members of the East Coast academic elite liberal societies. So y'all should be really glad this happened. This is a big thing. This is huge. And it's kind of why I decided to make the video about Bubba Wallace and our friend Ray Ciccarelli. Wins: Confederate Army, 0. Ray Ciccarelli, 0. NASCAR driver Ray Ciccarelli announced that he's quitting because NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. He finished his career with 0 wins. He went on a long rant, shaming kneeling during the anthem and banning the flag. Breaking: NASCAR truck driver Ray Ciccarelli will quit because they banned the Confederate flag. Update: we still don't know who Ray Ciccarelli is. Actually, we don't know what a NASCAR truck driver is. Actually, never mind. Nobody cares. This is good stuff. So, after all the academics finished roasting Ray Ciccarelli, well, there were other people in other communities that decided to share the wealth on that one. Let's take a look at some of their responses. I just spoke with Ciccarelli by phone. He told me he'd been planning to retire anyway, but called the controversy the last straw that broke the camel's back. Because that camel was really tired dragging Ray Ciccarelli's limited talent ass uphill. Mr. 33 races, no wins, finished in the top 10 once. Yeah, but he was planning on quitting anyway. Sure he was. NASCAR Truck Series is going to have to find someone else to finish 28th each week because Ray Ciccarelli is done with this racial equality bullshit. Quitting with a career best 33rd place finished in the 3rd tier of racing at age 50 to own the libs. It's official. He's insulted more races than he's won. Ray Big Mad. You ain't winning a damn thing anyway. NASCAR truck driver owner Ray Ciccarelli says he won't continue in NASCAR after this year. I commend Ray for coming out as a blatant racist and removing himself from the sport. Guys like this are part of the problem. And last, a moment of silence as NASCAR mourns the loss of racing redneck Ray Ciccarelli, who's going to take his Confederate flag, hurt feelings, 0 wins, and no poles in 18 races, and go home to mama. Damn, Ray got savaged. And there's the icing on the cake. Ray Ciccarelli, I'd like to announce I'm retiring from NASCAR after this season. I cannot drive a car for a league that won't allow my special flag. NASCAR. We actually had to Google who you were. I'm sure your dozens of fans are really sad about your crusade to defend participation trophies. And yes, I believe this last tweet is actually made up, but it was really good, right? Now, I will say I went onto the NASCAR website to go look for the tweet, and it did say that some tweets have been made invisible by the owner, so I can neither confirm nor deny that this came out on NASCAR, but so good. So good. So, I don't know. I think there's a couple of really good takeaways from here. NASCAR is evolving. Maybe society is starting to slowly evolve. Bubba Wallace, who entered into an overwhelmingly white sport, has succeeded against all odds, and has garnered the respect and the support of his white contemporaries. And more importantly, Ray Ciccarelli and the Confederate Flag crew just shined a bright spotlight on the fact that the people who crow the most about the left being emotional and whiny and needing participation ribbons so they can feel like they did something, well, apparently all the people who love the special participation banner that's shaped in the form of a Confederate flag, yeah. So apparently all those people are going to take their participation trophy and go home. To Ray Ciccarelli and the rest of that crowd, I would like to tell you, we will not miss you one bit. But hey, have fun with your participation award, okay? And NASCAR, good looking out.